space and time are practically infinite, and yet right here, right now, we find ourselves together. That's the nature of destiny. It creates a miracle but convinces you of an accident.
The fate of those I remember is never a good one.
Hey, this is Adam. Thanks so much for watching our Kafka and Blade Cosplay Cinematic. Really hoping to do more Honkai Star Rail content soon. And of course, a huge thanks to Ninjadeelee and Oracle Sen Cosplay for braving the cold and shooting with us. Make sure to go give them a follow on their social media pages. They both have amazing work. Links will be in the description below. Go check them out. Also, if you want to help support our channel and more projects like these, leaving a like, commenting, and sharing are easy and super helpful ways to boost our videos, and of course subscribing if you're not already. And if you want to support us even more directly, we have a Tomo Digital Coffee page. Any of this will help with production costs from the cost of hard drives, helping paying for creative assets and subscriptions, gear, and as well as film location costs. That's pretty much it for this one. If you stick around, here's some behind the scenes of us filming, as well as some of the post-production process for some of these visual effects. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And you can even you like just kind of act like you're super into it, so you can like close your eyes, like you're conducting, like sway your head. Yeah, you can sway kind of like in the rhythm.
Moody.
Kafka's violin facet of her character was really perfect to try to incorporate. She airplays a violin in her idle animation and in earlier cutscenes. Not only does it fit her character, but it's a great visual driver for a music video. So I thought it'd be cool to get a decent amount of shots and angles to interlace these with throughout the video, because it kind of showcases that the characteristic that she's kind of this conductor of chaos, and all of her actions are all by design. And like many shots, I didn't plan this dolly like corkscrew 360 shot, but I thought it'd be cool to try out, kind of adding more of a dramatic feeling with this kind of roller coaster push in and push out, and I really liked how it came out. For the sword thrust shot, I wanted to have this blast of energy that comes from the tip of the sword. I used 3D camera tracker for positional relevancy, used my handy dandy lighting elements from Triune Digital, using something that matched the electricity displacement I was looking for, then added it into the scene, adjusting it to the point where the sword and its thrust happen. I also added some lightning strikes behind her just to make the effect seem bigger and look like the energy is being directed from the back to the sword. And to give a bigger sense of impact as well, I wanted to use like glass shattering element, because a lot of the attacks looks like she's kind of shattering reality and just makes the overall effect look bigger. Once all of these are together, I go ahead and do some color grading in the assets, and done. And we get a kind of a cool looking parallax shot. The gun muzzle flashes in these shots are pretty straightforward for the most part. I like to add the extra details on top of just the flashes, which include things like the sparks and the gun smoke and bullet tracers, which I didn't do for the whole gun pirouette because I was too lazy to add that many angles of tracers throughout the whole shot. It was also just especially tedious because it was a long shot that needed a mask every time the gun passes behind her. Another thing I did do for this shot in post was I scaled the video the opposite direction the camera movement was going. So anytime I dollied out, I zoomed in the footage, and whenever time I dollied in, I zoomed out the footage, kind of giving it that vertigo effect just to make it look more dramatic and interesting. Then going into the next shot, which is the finishing shot of Kafka's burst animation. This one also wasn't a part of my storyboard at first, but Dee mentioned it during the shoot, and I'm really glad we gave it a shot anyway, because it was a fun VFX shot to composite. We did just a simple dolly out camera move to somewhat mimic the shot from the game, plus to sell the force of the effects more. So first I used 3D camera tracker so we can get positional relevancy throughout the scene. I then started from the beginning of the clip adding in the spark or fuse embers when she says boom in her burst animation right from in her palm of her hand. After that I then started placing in bullet tracer elements going in every which direction. The tracer video clips though would not fill the whole frame of the scene as we push out, and that makes it so I needed to scale them to fill the screen as we get down to the end of the shot. I really layered this scene in a ton of digital assets. This has bullet tracers, spark hits, smoke impacts, ground breaks, and aerial explosions. This whole scene was just really fun and chaotic to put together. This scene was inspired from some art I saw on Pinterest. This one I didn't really have any plans for in the storyboards either, and you can probably see there's kind of a pattern of how I do things by now, but I thought it'd be a cool shot to try out, because I really wanted to incorporate the red spider lilies to kind of tie it more into Blade's character. I started this shot by using Mocha AE to track his hand to put the flower into, grabbed an image of a red spider lily from Google somewhere, slapped that in the scene, then attached the flower to the null that we got the tracking data from, and placed it in the palm where I felt it looked good. Then I did my best to mask some of his fingers to give it a little more depth and help sell that I was actually in his hand even though it's only a 2D picture. After that I used the puppet tool to animate the petals to kind of open up as he opens his hand. Then I added some color correction, deep glow to it to make it look more like celestial. I also added some red particles when the flower opens for a little extra pizzazz. Also wanted to make a lot of Blade's scenes look moodier, so I added a black vignette, as well as some of these black embers and particles, kind of inspired by Stranger Things when they're in the Upside Down world, kind of giving it that moodier, more edgier atmosphere. These shots were inspired from Blade's character trailer, so for this shot I used 3D camera tracker, then I used a triangle-like shape layer and put the point of the triangle where the tip of the sword is dragging to kind of emulate that the ground is being cut open. I then put a turbulent noise and turbulent displacement effect on the shape layer to give it this more liquid look. Then by hand animated the point of the shape layer to keep following the sword tip to help sell the effect better, that it was really, following the path of the sword. And then again, I put some black particles on a vignette to kind of give it that moodier atmosphere. Now for this one, which is inspired by Blade's burst animation, so to make the sword glow like we see in the game, I started off using Mocha AE to track and create a mask for the sword. My plan is to add a deep glow effect, but only to the sword, so to do that, I duplicate the footage and apply the deep glow effect to the footage layer above the original footage, so only that layer will be affected by the deep glow. Now that I see the sword is the only thing that is being affected, I use a mask to hide the glow at first, then animate it towards the tip as he pushes his hand forward as if the energy is being pushed through the sword. Added some red particles to the sword as we see the energy kind of emanating from the hilt of the blade, and that's pretty much how I did that scene. The last VFX shot I'm going to talk about is this one where we see Dee looking at the camera menacingly as the camera pushes towards her, and we see these laser lines or strings which Kafka has during some of the attacks and idle animations. This one I used 3D camera tracker, then I created a solid layer to put on the Video Copilot Saber plugin effect. With Saber you're able to create your own shapes using masks, so I made simple lines as the lasers. The hardest part was designing a layout for the lasers that still left a good frame but still felt dynamic. Then I applied Saber to the mask I just made to get some cool looking neon lasers. An issue I didn't think of, however, was the scaling I needed for the lasers as the camera pushed in, which made them look a little low quality. To remedy this, I applied deep glow on top of that and it didn't seem to have those issues. Also, a regret I had when shooting this was I should have shot this on a gimbal for a smoother shot. Since this was handheld, just because I already had the camera off the gimbal, which is fine. However, it did make the lasers a little too bouncy for my taste, but I still liked how it came out for the most part. Okay, I think that's it for the post-production babble. If you made it this far, thanks so much for sticking around. Appreciate you checking it out. Hopefully it was somewhat informative to you for my other editing VFX geeks out there, or at least you found it somewhat interesting. Thanks again for watching. Hope you look forward to our future cosplay cinematics.